Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Outside day down, very briefly here, took out the previous session's highs, rotated back down and took out the previous session's lows, and then bounced right back up. This is actually what we talked about in the trading room late yesterday afternoon. And how the day could turn out, and we pointed to a day similar to this day right here that could finish kind of in the middle of the day. It did all of that here prior to the RTH open, but has also developed a very clear two-day range as this market perhaps goes into a holding period or a waiting pattern here ahead of NVDA earnings after the bell Wednesday. So we could be looking at back and forth price action here between 58.80 and 59.40. 58.80 and 59.40 could be the fade opportunities here back and forth. A failure at 58.80 at some point here over the next several days could open up a continuation to the downside. And what we're looking for here on the downside move would be perhaps to go fill the 5,700 naked FOMC key level. 5,700.25 is your FOMC key level from September 18th. Could be looking at a rotation into that zone, and if we do get that level filled here, it could offer a buying opportunity back to the most recent FOMC key level at 59.94 from November 7th. So again, if we see a little bit more downside here, it could take us as steep as 5,700, and then there could be a responsive buying opportunity back towards 6,000 up ahead. So that's the swing outlook right now. Two-day range developing with the potential for further back and forth price action with a short-term downward bias at the moment. If we take a look here at the NQ, similar price action out of the NQ, only this is an inside day at the moment. Again, we pointed to this day right here as the potential template for today's trading. That finished inside day. It finished near the middle of the range. Again, this looks like a finishing bar here by the end of the day, but it's still prior to the RTH open. We could be looking at further range-bound price action here between 20,500 and 20,700. That's the short-term range here. Maybe we get a little bit higher and lower than that, and it could offer a fade. So if we get up in here into the 70-50 zone, that could be a short-term fade back towards 600. If we drop a little bit lower, say into the 450 zone, it could be an opportunity to bounce it back to 600 as well. So back and forth price action. Two-day narrow range developing here ahead of NVIDIA earnings Wednesday. Again, like the ES here, we are seeing a short-term rotation to the downside. At some point here, any pullback could be seen as a selling opportunity for a continuation downward, and perhaps we go get the September FOMC key level below as well. That one's still naked as well. 19,700 is that level, and that level could be filled to the downside. Once it is, it could be a buying opportunity to swing it back toward the 21,120 level, 21,130, that level right there. Let's see exactly what this one is. It is 21,180, could be the upside target there. On the downside, again, you have your FOMC key level from September here, and it's not popping up, but right around 700. So that is the level right there that could be in play on the downside, and then swing it right back to the upside. Right now, two-day narrow range developing with a short-term downward bias. Looking at crude oil, crude right here is down about a 0.5%. The early idea for this one was to watch for resistance around 69.50 here, which could rotate prices back toward the middle of yesterday's range, right around 68s, perhaps even lower. We're still in a kind of a short-term downward trend here, and overall, this market continues to respond to 67s in a big way. 67 is offering massive support. Every time it tests that level, there's a pretty significant response, a pretty significant bounce. At some point, we may finally break through that level, which could open up some downside up ahead. But as of right now, keep an eye on 69.50, a rejection there and a breakthrough the 68.50 level starts to open up a retest, perhaps back towards 67 down below. All right, looking at gold futures right now, gold up 1%. So far, this has turned into a very decent bounce here over the last few days, especially from that Thursday low. The intraday low there was a pretty strong intraday low. Didn't know if it was going to be a super bullish swing low, and thought it could lead to at least a little bit of upside here, perhaps as high as the previous quarter's close price. And so far, so good. This thing has really turned into a solid bounce here, and the uptrend over the last couple of days has been very steady and aggressive. So again, no fading into this strength as of right now. We could come up to a point where some weakness begins to set in, however. For example, if we got into the 2680 zone here, that could provide an opportunity for some weakness and perhaps a turn back down. But right now, still working its way higher until proven otherwise. Looking at the YM down about 0.5% right now. The early idea on this one was very similar to the other markets in that if we got to prices above the previous session high, it could drop for an outside day down. And today, barely missed out on the previous session's high. Barely missed out, but pushed through the previous session's low. Still in a very clear downward trend as of right now from a short-term perspective. It has taken the FOMC key level offered here, the 43,900 level from November 7th. And we could be looking at a retest back at the September FOMC key level below. Last time it got it was right here, and it rallied off that level after the election day completed there. So a nice little rotation back into the 42,000 level could be in play, and then that level could present another buying opportunity back toward 43,900 above. All right, taking a look here at Bitcoin. Bitcoin up 1.5% right now, 93,445. Big time push to the upside through the 90,000 level, has continued to maintain acceptance above 90K and continues to work its way higher. It has not seen any kind of impulse pullback. The idea behind this one right now is we are working toward 100,000 and perhaps as high as the 120,000 level. So any pullback toward 80K here could present a buying opportunity for a continuation toward 120,000. That could be a 50% return right there alone. Now, when do we get a retest of 80K? That's anyone's guess right now. It could be sometime in December. Could be anytime between now and the end of the year. And if we don't get it, it could be just a straight continuation to the upside. This market right now, especially with the most recent impulse move here, projects at least 120,000 to the upsides. And again, any pullback toward the midpoint of this month's range, 80,000 here, could be a buying opportunity for a continuation to the upside down the road and into Q1 of 2025. Very, very strong Bitcoin right now. Ethereum down about 0.8% at the moment. This one put in a little bit of a high, kind of rotated back down, but holding on the 200-day moving average right now. You also have year-to-date VWAP down below, providing some support as well. This one made a great move from 2,800 to 3,400. That was the early idea. We were talking about that when price was sitting down here at and below 2,500. At some point here, we could get that move. We got it in a few days. And now pulling back off 3,400, putting in a decent high up here, and that's going to be the doorway to higher levels down the road. Again, how far do we pull back right now? Like Bitcoin, if we were to rotate back, say into 2,800, that could provide a buying opportunity to 4,000 up ahead and maybe even beyond there. As of right now, this impulse move right here projects 4,300 as an upside target. We don't have a key range just yet. Need a midpoint around 29.26 to get that midpoint solidified, but the impulse move is still there, and that impulse move implies 4,300 down the road. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.